Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Now and the Future of Community Colleges through Think Student Live Online. What we're going to go through today is looking at the now and the future of community colleges. We're going to look at a few different things today, looking at value propositions for lower tuition costs that these community colleges offer, hyper-specific courses, engaging classes that beat summer jobs. We're really going to cover everything and going through each of these different facets. I think it's going to open up exciting opportunities that you can foresee at your community college over the next years ahead. This is myself, the quote unquote community college expert, Matt Pagano, and I'm an account manager here at Net Natives. I've been with Net Natives in the United States since 2018. We work in Brooklyn, New York here. So it's been really exciting to see, Net Natives grow throughout the United States. We first came here in 2017, and now we're expanding from coast to coast. But, I've really kind of come in and began to work with predominantly community colleges. I myself went through the community college landscape as well, took summer courses there, in getting eventually my 4-year degree from Syracuse University. But I think it's just such an interesting area. And specifically for Think Student Live Online, this is really the first time here within the United States that we've been able to be involved. So it's the first time we're talking about community colleges through Think Student Live Online. So it's extremely excited, and I'm happy to be here today. So what the agenda is going to look like is first talking through the landscape, next understanding your audience, looking into communicating value proposition, and then maximizing enrollment and reducing bottlenecks, seeing how you can work through some of the struggles that come up at a community college versus, say, a 4-year that you may have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, on a fiscal year basis. So first is looking at the landscape. Higher education is the bedrock of our economy here within the US, but as the poverty gap continues to widen, the middle class moves further out of reach and workforces become more competitive than ever before. This is extremely relevant within community college as workforce education, continuing education is extremely relevant. You have so many non-traditional students that are coming back to take classes. Again, here we have President Biden's $1.8 trillion American Families Plan, which stands to see a considerably strengthened lifeline for access to education for all. And that's really the motto for your 2-year colleges, for community colleges, is we want everyone to come into our doors. We have the classes for you. We have the teachers that will take the time to go through everything with you. And we will support, the flexibility that you need for your schedules, whatever you have going on throughout your life. So really offering a great way for you to gain those education for whatever you're looking to do. So when looking at the landscape, first is looking at tuition-free college for students from households earning under $125,000 and increasing the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant, again, is financial aid that's offered to students. Pell Grant specifically for select schools. So again, some of your schools may be a part, some may not. We did a whole report focusing on Joe Biden's plan that we have on our website. When this is shared with you after, please check that out. Our team has done a great job in showcasing the benefits of this $1.8 trillion plan. So next we're going to look at here is understanding your audience. This is one of the most important things for community colleges. The reason being, and looking at this, we have a quote here. It's looking at the most successful brands are the ones that connect with the student audience. And that connection comes from understanding how your brand connects inside out. What this really looks at is kind of the research side of things. With community colleges, you have many different types of students. A traditional 4-year, they're looking at, their traditional students, which are, again, high school students that are coming in as undergraduate, and then postgraduate students, which are mostly just graduating seniors through college. But for community colleges, you're looking at traditional students, non-traditional students, people that are looking to gain certifications, people that are looking to pick up, some technology that they're looking to get into a workforce. So you have so many different people that are coming through. So it's extremely important to know how you can build your brand to resonate with everyone who wants to come to your school. So what we're going to look at today is some brief examples of research analysis that we've conducted at Net Natives. Research is vital in helping to inform and share messaging that is used across marketing. So as I mentioned, we're going to look at a few examples of this analysis, what we've done for other universities, colleges, and some good examples. If you can see, this is how I'll identify my students and how they'll resonate with my brand. So the first, we're looking at a research project with University X. The objective was to understand internal and external perceptions towards the school in order to effectively position a creative strategy, concept, and messaging that cuts through. So what we're really looking at here is, we want to get into the market, whether that's with billboards, television ads, whether that's through social media ads. But we're really focusing on, okay, we need a strategy, we need a concept, we need messaging that's going to resonate throughout the entire campaign, and that's going to really sit well with all of our different student types. So the recommended approach that Net Natives does is looking into first surveying current students and prospective students using a mix of quantitative and qualitative questions. Then looking at your current student audience, it's going to allow us to expand on audience segments. Prospective students will also help us to understand what other prospective students are looking for and any barriers to applying. Really with community colleges, the main barrier is enrollments because you're oftentimes getting so many applications. And then alongside perceptions of the brand and its programs, we want to explore perceptions of any competitors to help understand positioning and potential upselling points. With two-year colleges, community colleges, a lot of your competitors are, say, the local four-year universities, colleges that are nearby. In most states, you're not allowed to compete outside of county lines or market against another community college unless, potentially you offer a course that isn't offered in their town. So a lot of times you will be in a way relegated to just the competitors of your four-year school. But in those essences, it's actually a way that you can build relationships with them as well, which a lot of schools do, to offer an outlet to get your two-year associates and transition right over to finishing your 2 years at a four-year university and getting your bachelor's degree. And then what we're looking at for deliverables, one survey to be shared with current students and a panel, an overarching report outlining the survey findings segmented by different audiences where applicable, and then key findings to inform brand positioning and campaign optimization. So first is looking at different questions that we're asking, your prospective students, your current students, but keeping them very basic, but overall just getting, how familiar are you with University X? Those who are interested in studying in NYC are the most familiar with University X. 2 in 5 saying they are familiar with it compared to just 1 in 5 for those interested in Washington, D.C. Again, this is an example with a university, but these are the types of questions that we're going to ask. Specifically within community colleges, we want to make sure that everyone within the area, knows that you are out there, because there is that perception that saying, oh, well, they're in our county, they're close by, they know that they can study here. Sometimes that isn't the case. So we do want to make sure that we can identify that. Next, other questions that we're looking at is, here's a list of facts about these programs. Please rate how appealing each fact is to you. This is, I think, one of the best questions to ask your current students and prospective students, because this is how you're going to gain those value propositions. For community colleges, what are some of the great things that you offer? Smaller class sizes, very intimate class setting, one-on-one with your teachers, where you can get, basically all of that knowledge that you may not be getting at a four-year university where you have large lecture classes, where it's tough to pay attention. Other things that you have, of course, lower tuition, that financial aid, those Pell Grants are, what most of community colleges are offering, especially throughout COVID. So obviously you want to know that students are recognizing this about you, but then it's really good to see, again, what are some of the things that are not appealing, because these are some of the things that you can work on. For community colleges, sometimes that it can be the lack of school spirit, the lack of dorms on campus. You want to identify what we would call these bottlenecks, so that way you can improve on those, offer things that will offset those, so that people will still want to be coming and enrolling to your school. Next, looking at what institutions did or are you considering applying to for, say, a business program. Why did you consider them? This is going to be extremely important to see, these people that are applying to your community college, where else have they applied to? Oftentimes students are enrolling to a 2-year college because, they may have not gotten into the school that they wanted to at first. So they may look to transfer in, later on after they get their associate's degree. Something may have happened in their personal life where they're not able to travel to the school that they wanted to. They need to stay close to home, be with their families, many factors that happen. So it's really good to see, again, what are some of these other programs that people are applying to, starting to establish some of your competitors on the 4-year university side. Next, it's looking at how familiar are you with each of the following universities. Again, this is just getting a sense of, we have 4-year colleges, even 2-year community colleges that may be, a few miles down the road from you, depending where you are, just to identify, okay, these are the schools that maybe we look into partnerships with. We want to offer those transitions where if you come here, study for 2 years, you can enroll in the program of your choice, having those set up. It's really great to identify that. Start setting up partnerships with high schools as well. I know a lot of community colleges do this where they offer concurrent students. Basically, you can take a class at a community college. It'll help you gain credits for when you do go to any university, or if you'd like to enroll at the community college. So you can start to build up that relationship with high school students when they're 16, 17, 18. So later on down the road, they've had a good experience. They want to come back, whether it's in the summer, or whether it's enrolling in one of your semesters. Important factors when choosing a nursing school. So again, this can be if you are looking into boosting new programs. Obviously in COVID, that's really what has come about, looking into the online side of things. I know we're coming back now to campuses, which is great to see. But if you have released any new programs, any new certifications, typically you want to do something like this before you release them. It's great to just get a sense of how people are reacting to your programs. What exactly do they want with them? So next time you do have a new course of study that you want to release, definitely look into research before going live with anything, because you want to know how these potential students are going to react to it and what exactly they're looking for. And then again, here you can see these perceptions when you're looking at the target audience and internal stakeholders. So you can see this is a research piece that we've done, and this is what I mentioned before. Your internal stakeholders, your board of ed, specifically these higher ups, they may have completely different mindsets of what's the most important. Again, they're looking at innovation and technology first. Target audience is looking at expensive. So again, it's just getting this mindset of how your target audience is interacting with you. And then again, looking into specific programs, as mentioned, it's good to identify, say you have 4 universities throughout the state. How do they rank their programs that you may be looking to offer? So that way, that, all right, hey, maybe we form a partnership with this school, or again, how do we make our value proposition a bit higher than University X? So now we're looking into communicating your value. So with research, we identified the value. We saw these are the different adjectives, how people are describing us. This is what we need to build off of. So now it's how do we communicate that to the public? So really, it's looking at a strategic approach. So the first thing that we want to identify is a problem. So it's the human problem behind the business problem. And I'll explain more as we go throughout the slides. Next, you want to find out what's our edge, what makes us unique as a school and motivating in our audience's mind. Next, what's going to be our strategy, a new way of seeing the business based on all of that. And then finally, it's the truth. It's a new or a hard truth. This can shed light on that problem that you need to address. So again, here, this is going to identify how do we move forward within the strategic approach. And this is how Net Natives focuses on our creative strategy, our messaging when we go in market. So what we're looking at first is we need the human problem behind the business problem. So we have example of Audi cars here. So business problem is Audi wants to convey a serious message about its cutting edge safety technology in a witty way. Why is that? Because the audience are overwhelmed and it's hard to cut through the noise. Why? Because the audience are bombarded by other drivers and motor advertising. And then we ask why again, and we get to the human problem, because they're all the same. All drivers are dangerous and all motor advertising is predictable. So then from that, we need to identify the edge. So what sets you aside from, say, other competitors? First, looking at the audience, drivers want to stand out from every other car for what and how they drive. The market, saturated by same and serious, Audi needs to show their approach is distinctive. The brand, equally committed to improving road safety and the quality of their cars. The product, Audi's multiple cutting edge technologies ensure drivers feel protected. What does that all come to? Beautiful cars with amazing brains. So that's the edge that we've set. And then the strategy brings all of that together, giving us an informed opinion on how to win with your campaign. So we had the problem that we addressed. We have the edge. They have amazing brains. The strategy is show that Audi technology makes you look better than every other idiot on the road. And the truth is everyone else on the road is an idiot. So a bit of a hard truth there, but this is the approach, again, that we take to showcase, hey, this is what we need to address. We've gotten all this research. Now here's our strategy to go out there into the market. So this is kind of looking at some of the different ways and how our team here at Net Natives comes up with these, I call them vision boards, to build this creative strategy. So again, here they're looking at a lot of different ads that are in market. Specifically, this is one that we did for NYU here in New York, but again, just taking different visions that they're seeing out there, what ads are resonating from the research that we've done with NYU, what do we think would fit well within their scope? So it's really great to see, again, our creative team does a fantastic job of, really taking everything from scratch and coming up with something that truly fits the scope of what your school is looking for. So I've got a couple examples here of two community colleges. The first is Redlands Community College. They're located in El Reno, Oklahoma. And really what their concept revolves around is kind of this whole map mindset, focused on the community that they've built in El Reno. Again, sort of a small town, but they're only about 30, 40 minutes outside of Oklahoma City, which is a major city. But again, they want to build on this, put yourself on the map, come out to Redlands Community College, where again, we can show you the light to basically your next steps, put yourself on the map for your career, whatever it is that you're looking for in terms of next steps. This was an extremely engaging creative that really helped their marketing and enrollment moving forward. The next example here is Lamar Institute of Technology, two-year college based in Beaumont, Texas. So again, very similar to Redlands. They are more in a rural area, about an hour and a half outside of Houston, about 30, 45 minutes outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Their main motto is degrees that work harder. As a technology school, they offer a lot of workforce training. You can see that they have programs like welding, HVAC, different ways that you can get into the workforce if you didn't necessarily take the path of finishing school, something happened to divert you off your course. Now you can come to Lamar Institute of Technology. And again, this degree will work harder for you moving forward. How do we put these four elements into practice? Here's the strategy. So the first one, research and identify your students. That's all important data that you've collected from, say, your virtual open house campaigns or anything that you've done over the years, sign up forms, whatever that may be. You want to have the insights to help identify your students, groups, and shared social interests. By segmenting your audience based on their interests, you'll be able to create content that will engage and shape your event, open house, enrollment, advertising, whatever that is. You're providing potential students the opportunity to connect with other like-minded attendees. Again, students are going to want to come to schools where they feel secure, where they feel like they're with other students that are similar to them. So this is extremely important of building those segments out within your students. Next, it's looking into creating valuable content and memorable experiences. The thing I really like about community colleges and what I've seen kind of throughout the course of the past year is getting your current students involved, getting your alumni involved. By knowing your students, some of them may have a large social media following. There's so many different platforms that students can be on that they can gain followers and gain this audience. So, know more about them, get them involved within your platform on their name, having, say, a day where they're going about the campus. Again, we touch on vlogging here. This can be something that can be used as a type to connect with students for them to see, wow, this person that I do follow is enjoying their classes. The campus life looks like they're engaging with, people, friends, faculty that's on staff there. So there's many different ways, but really it's just user generated content creates unique, genuine, and authenticity. A lot of times when you see educational ads, you'll see kind of those either stock images or kind of, just walking about the campus, but it feels very staged. It does not feel organic. This type of vlogging organic content is actually going to give them that sense of, oh, wow, this is really authentic. This is something that I can see myself doing as well. Then it's letting your students tell their story. Again, we've kind of just touched on this, but hosting an employee or influencer on your Instagram story for a few days has been shown to boost engagement by nearly 20%. Again, now we have the hard data to showcase that. Know who your students are, follow them through your school's social media accounts. So that way you can start to set this up. Most of the time students will love to go on your platform and walk through their day. They think it's a great opportunity for themselves. They love that the school recognizes them also. Next, again, that we touched on is thinking about parents. When you're targeting your student audience, remember they're influenced by their parents, peers, and friends. So get them on the same side. Questions to ask yourself: what will they want to know about your school? How can you reassure them that the current changes to exams and modes of learning? Again, this is kind of looking at the future after COVID. So if you have more hybrid learning, they probably are not used to that because they learned in school. They don't really know how online learning happens. So it's good to teach them about that. Can we direct them to a dedicated landing page which answers these worries? Do we have the resources where they can see this all in one place? Who's best to tell the story of the institution in a way parents will engage with? So these are great examples. And looking at this last question, I think it's always good. There's a lot of times that faculty at your school has children that went to the community college, or again, they have children that are at other schools, but I think it's just a great way to have them engage with parents. This could be their first child that they're sending to school. So they have all these questions they want to know, and hearing it firsthand from someone that works at the school provides a really good outlet for them, especially if their child has gone through your community college. And then finally, it's looking at, again, show differences through your values. Consider how your institution can carry a civic responsibility message with whatever your story may be. And looking at USPs, upselling points, I think this is where community colleges can really have the most value and compete with these four universities, because as a community college, you are often the hub for so many positive things going on within your community, within your county. A lot of community colleges are hosting, COVID vaccine stations, doing COVID testing. These are things that you should share and talk about on your stories. Showcase the good that you're doing within the community. There's so many different things that your faculty and staff are doing to help out, specifically, whether it's on campus, but again, you're hosting a lot of students that can be from high schools, that can be from elementary. You're doing different things for them. Make sure that you're putting this on your social media platforms so people can see what you're doing in the community, because I think this is where community colleges stand out above a four-year, is that kind of great setting and that openness to everyone that is out there, whatever background you come from, whatever class that you're in, everyone is welcome here. So I think that's the best way that can separate you from any competitor that you may have. So really the final step is maximizing your tech and then keeping attendees engaged. So make the experience seamless for your guests. Invest in the right meeting tech to give your attendees a great experience. Again, this is if you're doing virtual open houses. Things are starting to open up now, which is fantastic. But again, just make sure that you have the tech to keep attendees engaged after the fact, because you want to have communications and touch points throughout the day so that attendees don't miss out on headline sessions, VIP alumni workshops, whatever that may be. And then you also want to be engaging with reminders as well. They may have signed up for an information session open house, but again, these are students, these are people that have signed up. This may be 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. They probably have forgotten by now. Have the ability to reach out via text for traditional students, or for non-traditional students, engaging with them in email, whether that's on Facebook, Instagram platforms. Again, making sure that you're reminding them of different things that are coming up. And then looking into embracing innovation. So we have this statistic here on the left, 71% of respondents use Snapchat on a daily basis, up from 65% in 2016. So with Snapchat, you're looking at your traditional audience. Again, there's different things that you can have, but within a community college, you know, you're throughout this entire group of towns, wherever that may be, have a Snapchat filter so people can engage with that and take their photos when they're on campus, send that to their friends. That's something that's going to create a, long lasting kind of image of what the school is, that you're innovative going through that. But again, it's just really important to try out different platforms, specifically on social media. A lot of times community colleges can get bogged down with the traditional methods, which I still think is a great approach from your side of things. Television ads, billboards, they do resonate well in the community. And a lot of schools that are in rural areas, this is the best way to be in touch with some people, maybe more so in a traditional audience. But don't be afraid to try out different platforms like Snapchat, looking into Twitter, Reddit. This is where a lot of your younger students are engaging. So why not, find them and see them on these platforms? And then finally, we're looking into CRM automation, which is really one of the most essential nurturing points for community colleges. Because as I mentioned, you're getting so many applications, but it's how do you get your applications to enrollments? So you need to kind of look at the questions that need answering. The first is, how are you tracking potential students from first touch point to enrollment? When students submit their information online, where does it go? When someone submits that request for information form, who is managing that? Who contacts them? Does an email get sent automatically? Does your admissions department feel overwhelmed by the amount of manual outreach to prospective students? Again, within community colleges, you oftentimes have small teams. So you need to have the amount of time to work on everything and anything. You have to have all your hands in different places all at once. So it's finding a way that you can create the automation with personalization. And then finally, can you measure cost per enrollment on your advertising efforts? Do you actually know for the X amount of money that you spend on marketing, how many enrollments that's generating? So without further ado, this is introducing Akiro, which is the tech stack that we've built in-house here at Net Natives. I'm just going to go through some of the capabilities that it can provide. So the features include looking into creating landing pages, building forms, having offline events, which again is really important for community colleges, gathering these signups. But again, it allows you to create that personalization with automation. So what Akiro does, I always say it's the infrastructure for all of the data that schools are collecting. So through our marketing campaigns, any forms that exist on landing pages, on your website that can be embedded through Akiro, they're all coming through to this platform. And basically you can start to manage that with these contacts, with kind of that personalization with integration that we can build in. So it helps you start to really track from first touch point all the way to enrollment. So again, it's the best way to really look into, we're getting so many applications a year. How do we know that we're making that first touch point with them right after they applied? You can set that all up through Akiro. So these are some of the features on the marketing side. Then when you look on the recruitment side of things, it's looking into personalized content that makes prospects 20 times more likely to convert. So we offer things like task managers. You can also build applications through Akiro. Prospect management, marketing automation. That automation with personalization is extremely important. Building the funnel, so that way you actually have a tool where you can see where each of your students that have applied or just contacted you to learn more, where they sit within the funnel. Has anyone spoken to them? Have they attended any open houses? You can track that all through Akiro. Lead scoring is also extremely important. Say you're 2 students away from hitting a specific goal. All right, the lead score, they're at X amount, they're 100 versus someone that's a 30, we need to contact them first. This can be all done through Akiro. And then looking into Akiro Understand, which is kind of looking at the performance side of things. So we offer advertising performance, form and page performance to show you, again, these bottlenecks of, where are we missing out? Where are we, on a form, do we have too many questions that people aren't answering? How many people have started to fill out the form but have not completed it? This can all be done through Akiro. We also offer call performance as well. So In terms of Akiro, I'd love to show you more about the platform. So you can always reach out to us here at Net Natives to receive a demo that we can offer and showcase to you how other community colleges in the US are utilizing the software. But again, finally, the key takeaways on as we wrap up here. But one, the most successful brands are the ones that connect with the student audience, and that connection comes from understanding how your brand connects inside out. Second, the human problem behind the business problem that we need to identify, and not just within our internal staff. And then finally, a CRM system should be in place to allow you to track students from first touch point to enrollment. And ultimately, that cost per enrollment is extremely it's one of the it's hard to really justify how important this is, especially if you're coming from the marketing side of things. Year after year you always hear, well, we just don't know, marketing can do this. There's oftentimes blame thrown your way that you just don't need. Now you can back the data of, hey, we've generated this amount of enrollments year after year, and you can do that all through Akiro. So again, I really thank you all for joining and listening in and talking through, me talk through community colleges. It's something that I thoroughly enjoy, and just speaking, to different schools about the challenges that they're facing, the things that they're doing well, the innovation that they're showing. Would love to talk to you more about that. My email is listed here. Please visit our website to see more and more things that we're doing with community colleges. I hope you all really enjoyed today's presentation. Hope to talk to you soon as well. And thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy Think Student Live online.